Hey, what is going on, everybody? It's Wednesday. It's 8:05. It is Season 3 College Football Frenzy. My name is Paul Spencer, and of course, I am with the legend of the airways, Mr. Bill Furman. Bill, how are you, first of all?
I am fantastic, Paul. Good to be back. It is August, which can only mean one thing. It is just about college football time.
You know what, Bill? So much to talk about, but Bill, I got a couple topics. What I want to start with, conference realignments, Bill.
Yeah, it's totally insane what has happened since we were together last time.
Yes.
It's just unbelievable to have things like the ACC with 17 teams, the Big Ten with 17 teams. Like, are you kidding?
Bill, speaking of conference realignments, what else do you want to talk about tonight?
Well, we could talk about some new faces in the Big Ten, some big coaching moves. Let's stick to the Big Ten tonight. How about that? We'll talk about coaches, a lot of moves, a lot of new faces, and an interesting schedule now that USC, UCLA, Oregon, and Washington are in. A lot of key matchups we could also talk about.
Definitely, Bill. Since you're the Big Ten guy, what better way to start off in the Big Ten? Of course, new faces and new different places. Not only the Big Ten, Bill, all over the landscape of college football. But, Bill, how about we do this? How about we open the video here, and we'll be back in 1 minute to get this show started, because I can't wait, Bill. So much to talk about this year.
Let's do it. Yeah, and we didn't even mention the bracket and the new new playoff system. Throw that on top. That's like the cherry on top.
I know, Bill. You know what? The off season, I tell you, Bill, it's harder. I think we're like coaches, Bill. We have to do so much off the season work here to get ready for this season because, Bill, we talk all the time. And, Bill, did you see this guy transferred? I didn't even know that. Did you know that? Bill, I just found out myself. It is amazing how these coaches, Bill, transfer so much. But, Bill, let's talk about this conference realignment. We're going to stay pretty much in two conferences tonight. We'll talk about the SEC. How do you feel about Texas and Oklahoma flipping to the SEC? How do you feel about that first?
Well, the thing about those two teams is we've known for a couple of years it was going to happen.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So that one's not such a big deal. It may be a big deal for Texas and Oklahoma when they start playing an SEC schedule every week that they're not used to. We'll see. The experts have Texas ranked extremely high in top 5, top 3 in most cases. Man, they're going to have a rough road to hoe. It's not going to be an easy run for the Longhorns. They look like they have a good team, but it's not like you're playing, the teams they've been playing.
Yeah. I just, you're so used to, Bill, we always talk the Big 12 don't play defense. Well, the SEC, they play some defense, Bill. We know that.
Yeah.
And I don't think we're going to get those Big 10 scores like we're used to, 50 points. Oklahoma put up 50. Bill, fourth quarter, how many times do we see Oklahoma up? Next thing you know, we're texting back each other. Well, it's tied up now. That's not going to happen in the SEC, Bill.
Yeah, you're right. You're right. And, next week we'll take a look at that, some big games in that schedule. Some key matchups. I will tell you, because I think I have it right here in front of me. On September 7th, Texas goes to Michigan. A non-conference game. But, I'm not exactly sure what's going to happen with Michigan. We'll get into that.
Definitely.
But that's a tough game regardless. If you're Texas to go on the road to Ann Arbor early in the week or early in the year, you better be ready to play.
I agree, Bill. Bill, speaking of the conference realignment here, what do you think this means, Bill? I mean, who does it benefit, the pros and cons? I got into a little heated argument on Twitter with a couple people, Pac-12 guys, which is not the Pac-12 anymore. It's the Pac-2 now.
Pac-2. Yep.
Pac-2. But Bill, who does this benefit more? I think UCLA, USC, Oregon, Washington benefits more because they control the recruiting rights to the West Coast. Now playing a big conference schedule in the Big Ten here, they're going to get all eyes on them too, Bill, on the East Coast, the Midwest region for recruiting wise. How do you see that playing out first?
Well, the recruiting over the years, even from when I was coaching, which has been getting to be a few years ago now, kids will go anywhere.
True.
Ohio State has a pipeline to St. Thomas Aquinas in South Florida. And they've been running it for quite a few years. I don't think it matters as much anymore. The big thing for the teams out west is, can they get enough big people to compete with the smash mouth style football that the Big Ten still known to do, even though they've opened it up and they're doing some other things. Flip side is, does the Midwest and the East provide the speed that you can get out on the other side? So I think it's really going to be interesting. And in the case of Oregon, they're expected to be really good too. And and USC, I don't know how that's going to work out there.
Yeah, I agree with you too, Bill. You said it the best here. The east side of the conferences here, the state-wise, is pure strength. The west side is more speed, of course. I'm kind of curious to how that's going to balance out in the Big Ten here, and even including, maybe next week we'll dive into the SEC, of course. Talking about that, Oklahoma, Texas likes to put up points. The SEC doesn't really like that, philosophy. We like to keep it down, win games as old school as I am, Bill. Defense wins championships. But Bill, what team is in the Big Ten here that's surprising to you, or any conference, Bill? Because a lot of teams have flip sides here, Bill, and not even just the Big Ten, the SEC, even the ACC, Bill, is not what it used to be. So many new teams as well, Bill.
Yeah, I really think I just want to see Ohio State's going to be good. We know that they're going to be really good. Michigan is a huge question, especially now that all these more stories are coming out, and they can end up on probation. And they got a new head coach. They have mostly a new staff, a lot of new staff, and they lost some quality players. So I think Michigan's going to have their hands full. What goes on out west and coming east and back and forth, the schedule's a nightmare for all these teams. Because now, not only, say you're Penn State, you're playing, you could play Ohio State, Michigan, USC, Oregon, and UCLA. You can play them all in the same year. You're not winning all those games. Nobody's winning all those games. So
that's true.
Yeah, I think, and the losers in this, I think, although you're going to see some neat games, the traditions are gone. I think you're not going to see them. Now, USC and UCLA still play the last week of the season out there like they always do. But I think you're going to lose those traditions, and that's sad for the fans, because those are big things. Like we talked about last year when Oklahoma and Oklahoma State played for the last time. Right. So I hate that part.
Yeah, Bill, I agree with you. I'm a Notre Dame fan. Of course, you're Penn State. And the rivalry now, to me, Notre Dame, USC, every year later to the end of the season, usually in games 9 to 12 in that general area, of course. The only way that I'm going to get that now, Bill, is going to be weeks 1, 2, 3, maybe. It's different to me.
I didn't know that until I went through the schedule today. I'll bring up some big games for you. I did not know that USC and Notre Dame were playing again this year late.
Yeah, it's late this year. That's what surprises me. I think it was what it was, Bill. It's the home and away, of course. It's always been that way, of course, with them. And I think, I hope I don't, jinx this, Bill, but I hope the rivalry still continues. I hope this is not the end of the home and away, because this is the only way I can see it. If it happens next year, it's going to be games 1, 2, and 3. And that doesn't, highlight my boat, Bill, to see this early in the season. It just doesn't to me.
No, me neither. And that's like Notre Dame used to play Michigan, like 3 or, always early, always a battle, always a knockdown, drag out battle at the beginning of the year. And it just went away. And, the losers were us guys.
Yeah. Yeah. And Bill, you said it correctly. You're going to lose a lot of rivalries, my team, Notre Dame, Purdue, that game's going to be gone pretty soon. The Michigan
Yeah.
State's gone already. The Michigan's gone. The USC is going to be gone. And all these teams within the Big Ten, Bill, it's going to be a juggernaut of a schedule late, after week 4 to 11. You're playing a conference. You don't want to play a top team outside your conference to ruin your chances to get to the big dance. So, but Bill, how do you feel about the ACC, Bill? I mean, new teams, Bill: Charlotte, East Carolina, FAU, Memphis, North Texas, Rice, SMU, Temple, Tulane, Army, USF, Cal, Stanford, and University of Texas, San Antonio.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, that's
wow.
Army is really the only new one in that mess, because they've been putting that mess together for some years.
Yes.
It's chaos. I mean, it's just like everybody couldn't find a place to live, moved into that neighborhood, and traveling all over the place from Texas to Florida to Alabama to Philadelphia. I mean, there are kids involved that are supposed to be student athletes.
Yes, agree.
And we're going to I'm sure as we get through the whole season, we will use that student part very lightly as we get into NIL discussions and other things. But, it's just, to me, that whole conference is just chaos.
It is, Bill. I mean, and Notre Dame's actually a part of that conference in a way, Bill, not correctly saying that they're a part of that conference, but they do play that conference schedule in a couple years if they stay independent, Bill. To me, it's going to backfire, but it could help Notre Dame too, because this is a cupcake schedule, Bill. If you look at that schedule compared to Notre Dame, that's a cupcake schedule. Even this year, Bill, they have one tough game, honestly, Bill, Texas A&M week 1. If they get that, Bill, that could be an easiest schedule for ever seen Notre Dame have complete in the last 25 years.
Yeah, and it's going to hurt them. I mean,
it definitely is.
It'll hurt them because, as we talked about Texas, say Texas, for example, and they go to Michigan and they beat them, and then they get in the SEC and they beat those teams, and maybe they lose one, and you've got an undefeated Notre Dame team who hasn't played anybody. Notre Dame's going to be out. They're going to get put. They won't get pushed out of the 12. The top 12, but they're going to be penalized for the soft schedule, as is everybody else, and rightfully so. If you go play Alabama, Auburn, LSU, and Mississippi and Oklahoma, and you beat them all, or maybe lose one, you deserve to be ahead of the team that beats USF and FAU and Memphis.
Agree. And, Bill, we always talked about, even last season, we talked about, the SEC, they're the NFL farm squad, of course. They've been there for years now, except for last year. Kudos to Michigan for winning the championship. But, Bill, we always talk about SEC. If you lose one game, you're still not out of it, except for last year with Georgia. But I don't think we want to talk about that, But now, Bill, we can say the Big Ten is in the same category, too. This is a juggernaut division here, conference. You lose one game, Bill, you're still not out of it, too.
Well, you might can lose two.
I agree.
And I forget, I had that information. I probably have it here in my pile. I believe every 1 and 2 loss team would have made the playoffs in the bracket of 12 last year. So I believe that I'm saying that right without looking it back up. But I believe if everybody that had 1 and 2 losses would have been in. So to your point, you get knocked off a couple times, keep playing, just keep balling.
Agree. Now, Bill, are they still going to have the conference championship for the Big Ten? Now, the SEC, they have one division, top to bottom. Whoever is on top is a division winner. Now, what is the Big Ten, Bill? Because that's your conference.
I believe they are still having a championship, and I think it's going to be the top 2. I believe.
Okay.
So you're right. In Indianapolis, I know they're still playing a championship game, and I just assume, maybe wrongfully, I'll have to look it up, but they're having it. They're definitely having a championship.
Yeah, it's good to say now, Bill, we're looking at 2 power conferences here. It pretty much before, maybe you could throw the Big 12 in there. The Pac-12 was really, starting to make a name for itself with Oregon, USC, of course, UCLA hanging in there, Oregon State, playing great games. But now Bill's coming down to 2 conferences. The Big Ten, which is going to be pretty much the Big 20 in a couple years, probably. The SEC will own everything in there. But what do you see, Bill? What do you see for these independent teams, Bill? Pac-2, Pac-12 to Pac-2, Bill. Where does Washington State go? Where do they go, Bill? What happens to them?
they're just in survival mode. I don't know. I mean, they got to put a schedule together and go play somebody. They're, again, line them up and win your games and let the chips fall, because you're not going to play a 2-team championship game, I wouldn't think.
Right. Well, you definitely can make the championship in that division, Bill.
Right. But, that's all they can do. That's all that's left. And, it's sad. It's a sad state for college football that happened.
Yeah, Bill, I didn't even look up their schedule because I was just so, enamored, like, dumbfounded by their schedule, Oregon State and Washington State. But, Bill, you said it right there. Putting a schedule together. Bill, you're in a conference of two here. You and Washington State, Oregon State, vice versa. But who are you going to play later in the season, Bill? Because everybody has conference play. Nobody wants to go outside their division and play a team that has nothing to lose, nothing to win, basically, Bill. What schedule can they do? Are they going to look at the MAC or someone that has it out of the a bye week or something to say, hey, listen, we could probably get a game then? How do you see that playing out?
I think, maybe in the brotherhood, if you will, maybe Cal will still play them. Maybe Stanford will still play them.
Yeah.
Teams that were out there, they're non-division games now, non-conference games. Maybe they go play Nevada or, teams like that. And I need to look that up. I didn't look that up either.
I didn't either, Bill. That's a great point for next week. We'll definitely look into that because I still I can't see them never playing Washington again, Bill. I mean, that's a battle of Washington, the rights to the bragging rights. I think it's some kind of trophy out there. I don't even know what it's called. It's blowing my mind there, but that is something that you want to see no matter what it is. That's something I'd like to see in the future, a home and away, of course. If it happens week 1, Bill, I don't care. It's fine with me, but Bill, anything else about the conference realignment here?
Well, I was looking real quick to your point. It does not appear that Washington plays Washington State.
Wow, that's already gone. Wow.
Well, I think, the realignment is, you have Cal, SMU, and Stanford playing in the ACC.
Yeah.
That's not the Atlantic Coast, by the way.
Thank you. But
we go not in the Atlantic Coast.
Yes, we go from Pacific Athletic Conference to Atlantic Conference here, Bill. Yeah. West Coast, East Coast. I don't get this. I don't get I was pretty good in geographical location in high school, Bill, but now this is just blowing my mind.
I'm smart with that East Coast, West Coast. I got that part. But, and then you have the Big 12 picks up Arizona State, Colorado, and Utah.
Well, Colorado's next year. Colorado's next year, right? Colorado's next year.
No.
I thought they were next year. I thought they were joining next year at the end of the 24. That's right, 25 season, Bill.
According to my info, the 2024 teams are Arizona State, Colorado, and Utah are in. And and y'all already have West Virginia, Central Florida. I mean, Houston, Cincinnati. What the heck? It's just, I think the frustrating thing to me as a fan is such a money grab. The whole thing is a money grab.
Yes.
And it's all being driven by TV. And it's chaos. And it's probably going to get worse.
You're completely right. I mean, before, Bill, it started off with Notre Dame Saturday. They own the rights, the NBC rights, of course, billions and billions of dollars going to that university. Bill, now they're getting back-ended because the Big Ten, what is it, Fox this year, Bill, correct?
Yeah.
They have their own rights. I'm pretty sure the Big 12 network is going to be, the SEC has their own network. It's all about the money, Bill. And as we spoke last year, the NIL, the transfer portal, all these things are making college football, Bill. I hate saying it, but something that I still love, but it's taking away a lot of my passion, Bill, because I'm old school and I love the way it was. Rivalries, no transfers. Get a scholarship, live your scholarship out, play it out, do what you need to do with your team. But Bill, it's totally changed over this last year and a couple of years with the NIL.
Yeah, well, I think the football programs they've kind of been this way anyway, but now they are massive businesses.
Yes,
the coaches and I'll call them general managers, the ADs, whatever you want to call them. They're CEOs of companies. I mean, you have a $15 million coaching staff at Ohio State. I mean,
yes.
Are you kidding? These guys were living in the backseat of their car not long ago, and now they're part of a $15 million coaching staff. It's just, and again, it's all driven by money and the donors. I saw an interesting article about the donors, and I'm not going to take a side on this because I'm the Penn State guy. They were talking about Ohio State and Penn State and the recruiting. I get emails all the time from Penn State that wants me to give them money, for NIL and whatever, so we could compete. They want the money so they can compete, so they could give it to these kids. And the gist of the article was, in Columbus, Ohio, is a small business town. Universities there, a small business town. State College of Pennsylvania is Penn State. There's not businesses that are, doing all this stuff. So businesses are pumping money into the Ohio State football program or athletic program. Penn State doesn't have that support. They've got plenty of alumni. They're spread all over the world, but they're not pumping money into the local economy that they're going to get anything back from.
Agree.
Where Columbus is set up different. Ann Arbor, probably very much like State College.
Agree.
I've only been to Ann Arbor one time, but there wasn't a whole lot there beside University of Michigan. So, yeah, I think it's interesting how that plays into it. Now, you take Los Angeles, with USC and UCLA, if those people are willing to give their money, there's plenty of that out there.
Sure. Yeah, I'm glad, Villanova's not knocking on my door, Bill, because they're not relevant in this situation. I'm glad they're not sending me emails saying, hey, would you like to donate? I think we could buy a $10 donation and get somebody from there, but, with that situation. But
they might be calling you during basketball season, though.
Unless I can get Jay Wright back, Bill, then I will donate, okay? If I can do that, yes, I will.
Jay's a smart man. He got out early. He knew.
Well, this is a great comment. Joseph says, "What's up, guys? It's almost here. Going to be weird seeing Saban without Bama, of course, and USC in the Big Ten. Let's talk about some coaching moves, Bill. I think the biggest one, Nick Saban, the GOAT. As many people say, I do agree, Bill, the championship that he's done with Alabama there. How do you feel about him stepping down and Kalen DeBoer coming in to, I heard great things, Bill. The foundation is there. Teams have bought into him. He's a player's coach. He's a very strict coach. How do you feel about, Bill, how do you replace a legend?
Well, I think, first of all, I think it's, again, I hate to keep using the word sad. It's sad that Nick Saban left because of this crap we're talking about.
Yes.
Nick said, I've had enough. When his backup running back comes in and says, if I don't get $200,000, I'm leaving.
Yeah.
And Nick said, no, I'm leaving. I'm out, So to me, it's bad for the football fans. It's bad for college football that Nick Saban walked away he walked away with his head high, certainly. And he did quite well for himself, but it's unfortunate to me that it had to go that way. As far as DeBoer coming down there, he's a good coach.
Yeah.
He's been very successful. Whether he can be successful in the SEC, we're going to find out. He lost a lot of players right immediately, but he got a lot of players. So, Alabama's Alabama. You talk about pumping money in. They're going to pump money in to get the best players they can get. Now, whether they're going to be as good as Georgia, we'll find out about that.
I agree. Yeah, when you replace a legend like that. But, Bill, you said it correctly. Nick Saban here, we've always listened to him. Basically just whatever he said is the rule of thumb, number one. He got out at the right time, Bill. And exactly like you said, it's because of what we're talking about now, Bill, the transfer portal, the pay me up front if you want me to play. It's not about the dynasty, the team, camaraderie. It's not about that anymore, Bill. It's about how much can you pay me? Because, Bill, you can offer me $200. Well, right down there on the street there, they offer me $300 plus a Mercedes-Benz.
Yep.
So I'm going there. But statement made by Nick Saban. Congratulations, Nick. You deserve your time off here. But Kalen DeBoer, Bill, he lost a lot of players. It's a big difference coming from the Pac-12, Bill, to the SEC. I hope he brought a good defensive coach, Bill. I really do.
Yeah, well, and he did bring a bunch of coaches with him.
He did.
But again, it's a fresh fit. Now, good thing for Alabama, they immediately hired him.
Yes,
they didn't let a whole bunch of time go and uncertainty go by. They got him on board. They got him in the building. They got him talking to the kids, and he got the ball rolling very quickly. That can only help them too.
Yeah, that's definitely smart, because if you've hired your coach right away, this way, before the transfer portal, it sets in like, hey, Nick Saban's gone. Well, who are we bringing in? Do I fit the system? He's here. Bill, you already know he's on the horn with every one of these players saying, hey, look, this is where you fit in. This is what we're going to run. We're going to, cake it to your situation here, your scheme. We're going to help you. But I think that's a great move by Alabama, Bill. But, Bill, let's move on here. How do you feel about Mike Elko at Texas A&M?
That Texas A&M program's a mess to me.
Yes.
Jimbo Fisher was a clown.
Well, they're still paying him too, Bill.
Yeah. I think Florida State's still paying him too.
Yes.
But yeah, he let that program get away from him, just like he did at Florida State.
Mm-hmm.
Once Jameis Winston left and he let him run the roost, it all went downhill. And
sure did.
Tremendous recruiting classes. A bunch of those guys left.
Mm-hmm.
Players left. So Elko's a good coach too.
Right.
Little different run for him, but he's got to jump into the SEC too.
Yeah,
and we'll see. I think they've got their hands full in college.
I agree. Bill, you're familiar with this name I want to speak of, Manny Diaz. How do you feel about that? Duke head coach now.
I don't think about it. He had an opportunity in a far better program in Miami than at Duke, and he did not fare very well. Did a real nice job at Penn State as a defense coordinator. Mm-hmm. Can't take that away from him, and he probably has some momentum from that that helped him get some kids. I know he flipped a couple kids from Penn State to go to Duke, but there's no record there for me to think that he's going to be A-okay.
Yeah, I think it's a situation. The grass isn't always greener on the other side, Bill. I would have stayed down in Miami. I really would have, because, Bill, we went last year and we talked about some, bonehead mistakes that were made, play calling wise with Miami, of course. But he had a team, Bill, that can compete, and going to Duke here, I think you took a lateral move, Bill. Not a lateral move, but a lower, essential move here.
Well, I mean, from a coordinator position, at Penn State to the head coach at Duke is a pay raise.
Sure, definitely that way. Yes,
he got a lot of money, but again, his track record is not where it needs to be. I don't think.
Agreed.
And they, and the ACC still has Florida State, who is going to be really good again. Mike Norvell doing a great job there. Dabo, I don't believe in the transfer portal.
Yes.
Good for him. If he can survive. But I think Clemson will be good again. So it's going to be a rough road for Duke and Manny Diaz.
I agree. Well, Bill, you're familiar with this name too. Let's talk about Bill O'Brien, Boston College now.
Yeah, interesting move there. I other than Bill spent so much time up that way with the Patriots and all that, I'm not sure what the real draw was to go to Boston College. I would have thought he could have probably had another job, maybe what I would consider a better job if he really wanted it. Maybe he didn't want it, and this fit going back home for him, and it was just a better fit. So, Bill O'Brien's a good offensive guy. You got to get some players, but he's a good offensive coach.
Yeah, Bill, when he announced that he was going to Boston College, now I actually thought that there was a prize signing going to happen at Notre Dame. I thought he was going to go to Notre Dame as the OC because they lost Gerard Parker down to Troy. He got the head coaching down at Troy. And there was rumors that, Bill O'Brien, I kind of like it because NFL passing offense. He's been there. He's done that. He can coach that philosophy, that scheme. Because Notre Dame's not that power team anymore, Bill. They like to run it, throw it downfield, of course. I was kind of surprised that he did take the Boston College job, but it does make sense to me, Bill, because he spent so much time in that New England area. So it kind of makes sense where maybe he's, planted a seed there where his family loves it, I guess, Bill. I don't know, because I don't like the weather up there. I don't know what it could be,
There's probably not a lot of head coaches, Nick being one of them, Saban being one of them, that could handle a personality like Bill O'Brien that's been a head coach and been an NFL coordinator.
True.
It just may not have been a great fit at Notre Dame to go in
Yeah.
there
Yeah.
and not be the head man. You know what I mean? Got to have chemistry there, and maybe the personalities just weren't quite what they needed to be, and he needed to run his own team, and he got it.
Yeah, to me, it's like, been a head coach in the NFL, you've been a head coach in college, why would I want to take an OC job at one of the most prestigious universities in the world to a Marcus Freeman, who's done a hell of a job, but second, third year going into the season there with him, why do I want to take that move? I deserve a team. I've been there, done that. Right. Bill, two other coaches I want to talk about. Bronco Mendenhall going to New Mexico after all that time at BYU.
Yeah, well, when he left BYU, he went to Virginia, and
yes,
it looked like he was going to get something going there, and it kind of didn't happen. He gave the whole "I'm leaving for my family" thing, blah blah blah, like they like to do, and he ends up at New Mexico. I'm just going to go on that one with it's irrelevant.
Yes, Bill. Yes, that's why we put him down the bottom of the list here, Bill. One other name I'm curious about you, Bill. What way to? And the reason why I'm saying this guy, his press conference, Bill, Deshaun Foster, UCLA. Yeah. Bill, did you see this press conference?
Yeah. I'm not exactly sure what to think. If he was just he was so nervous because he was so excited, or he just was clueless. And I don't think you become a head football coach if you're clueless. But man, he struggled in that press conference.
Bill, I tell you what, it reminded me of when I forgot who it was, the Tampa Bay. Todd Bowles was asked that question, about are you worried about your players going to Detroit, out of the cold weather when we're playing in a dome? How he answered that one. Then I looked at Deshaun Foster here, and his answers, Bill. I don't want to condemn a person. He's the head coach, but Bill, I don't know where to wrap my fingers around was what the hell was he saying during his press conference, because he lost me.
He didn't know.
Yes, you're right.
It was almost like it was belonged on one of those blooper type of things. It was just he just messed it up.
Yeah, but I thought we were like watching a show called Punked or something like that, right. Where like at the end of the show, like I'm only joking, guys. I just want to clear the ice, break the ice a little bit, right. But right. Bill, what a better way to go into the Big Ten? New head coach, Foster there. But
hey, Bill, I got some names for you. I went through the Big Ten coaches, and I came up with, because I was sticking with the Big Ten theme, I came up with 3 coaching scenarios. I actually have about 5, but 3, my top 3. One is Michigan, and that whole situation at Michigan, and how one is he good enough to be the head coach and win now, keep that ball rolling. 2, he's got a lot of new guys on that staff.
Yeah.
And if they end up on probation, what is going to happen to the defending national champions? That's my number 1.
Well, Bill, to answer that one, I don't think Sherrone Moore is the coach to take him, Bill. I think he rode the wave, Bill, all that hype. It was everybody versus Michigan, Bill. The hashtag Michigan versus everybody. I'm sorry. But, Bill, that team was loaded last year. This is a new coaching staff, Bill, to come in here and take over. You lost, 11 players last year, Bill, total out of the 22 to the NFL. And a couple of them even transferred, Bill. So that tells me right there that they don't believe in Sherrone Moore's scheme. I think he's in for a rude awakening, Bill. They are Michigan. I give them that, Bill. They're solid, top to bottom. But, Bill, I don't have them in my top 4 in the Big Ten this year.
I'm with you. I think they're going to struggle as well. And if they end up getting probation, or they end up getting suspensions within that coaching staff, I see it just get worse from there. So, it's going to be a long season, I think, in Ann Arbor.
But Bill, real quick, just to rehash something. Remember how we talked about Saban getting out at the right time? I think Harbaugh knew the writing was on the wall, Bill.
Harbaugh's a snake.
Yes.
He's a snake. He knew what was going on. There's nothing that happened in that organization that he didn't know about.
Bill, you're a head coach. You know what the hell goes on 24/7 with your entire team.
Yeah, right. he knew, and he can do whatever. He's going to be the one that's going to come out of this unscathed with the whatever he got, 4-year, $32 million contract, whatever it was. He's in the NFL. He got no worries. He said yesterday, I'm not apologizing for anything. I didn't do anything. He's going to ride that till the end, and everybody's going to fall on the sword at Michigan for him.
Well, Bill, the only thing I see on Harbaugh is if he chooses ever to come back to the NCAA to coach, he's on sanction for 1 year. Bill, that is not even a slap on the wrist. That's just touching the pinky saying, don't worry about it. That is ridiculous.
And by the time he gets done his 4-year contract, he's going to be 70 or whatever,
Exactly.
He's not coming back to college football. They don't want him. He don't want them, and took the money and ran. And if they vacate the national championship, they still won. That vacating thing is nonsense. Hey, my number 2, you're going to like this one. New Ohio State offensive coordinator Chip Kelly. What kind of impact do you see in there, pal?
Well, Bill, you know what? It goes two ways. I don't like the Kelly name because of the other guy, Brian Kelly, who just walked out on my Notre Dame team, so I don't like his brother anyway. But, Bill, it goes two ways here. We know what kind of hybrid offense he ran. You're familiar with the Philadelphia Eagles there. You've seen what he runs, that up-tempo, shock the world, fast-paced, whatever, NASCAR offense. Bill, but I don't think this is going to work in the Big Ten here. I think it was just a big-name signing, maybe best available, Bill. But to me, this doesn't suit the Ohio State team right now to me. I don't know, Bill, because egos, Ryan Day, Chip Kelly, I don't think these guys can mesh, Bill. I don't see it. But they're going to be one hell of a team.
The egos is one thing. That offense is going to be ridiculously good.
You think so? Even in the Big Ten, Bill?
Oh, I do. I mean, he's creative enough. Who knows who's going to play?
Right.
We may be seeing somebody at quarterback that we weren't expecting to see, and they're going to be wide open. They might have 5 wides all the time. And, I think you're going to see creativity that you haven't seen since Oregon, because he never could really get all that talent at UCLA that he had at Oregon, but he's got it at Ohio State. And I think they are going to be sick to watch.
Okay. Yeah, I see that too, Bill. But, when he was at Oregon, he had Mariota, of course, as his quarterback there. He brought him in as a freshman, worked with him, Heisman Trophy winner, got to where they were in the BCS games, of course. But then he went to UCLA, Bill. It wasn't his team the first 2 years until he brought Dorian Robinson in there, DTR in there. Then they started switching things around. I get Ohio State has those hybrids, Bill. They have those, that running game, Jukins and Henderson. Wide receivers, the Ibuka is going to be probably the number 1 wide receiver this year, of course. But I get that, Bill. But he's got to. I think the learning curve is going to be the 2 or 3 weeks here, Bill. The cupcake schedule in the first 3 weeks to learn what his horses really are, Bill. To go with his game.
I think what we need to see is who's playing quarterback. We're assuming we know who the quarterback is.
Mr. Howard?
That's who you would think. But you know what? That was, remember my timing right, that was a pre-Chip Kelly hire. I think.
Do you think, Howard, you said pre, okay, pre, thank you, Bill, because I was going to say that doesn't fit the Chip Kelly mold there.
No, Howard first, Kelly later.
Yes. Yeah.
Okay. And, Howard's a good quarterback. He's a good game manager. He can do a lot of things. He's not going to run a wide open 5 wide offense, I don't see, for Ohio State.
Yeah.
So, I think that's what Chip is going to bring to this team. So they're going to play good defense because they almost always play good defense. And maybe they're going to get away a little bit from the smash mouth, and they're going to open it up and do the creative things that Chip Kelly has been able to do when he's had talent.
I can see that, Bill, because, they've always had that young quarterback. They like going back to the Terrell Pryor days, Bill. They've always had the young quarterback at Ohio State come in and play ball there. C.J. Stroud, all these quarterbacks, of course, Justin Fields. They have a freshman named Julian Sayin, Bill, so he might be a Chip Kelly experiment where he's a freshman. He's a hybrid 5-star athlete, Bill, at quarterback, and run, gun, whatever you want to have it. That fits the mold there.
Yeah, so, if nothing else, maybe you have packages for the kid.
Exactly, right.
You get him on the field, and you get him doing some electric things and, opening up the game. My
Yeah,
third one. My third one. I find this one interesting. Penn State. New offensive coordinator, new defensive coordinator, new special teams coordinator.
Why is James Franklin safe? Was it his contract?
Because 10-2 and a bowl game is okay for some people. But
some
when
people.
you keep losing to the same two, that puts you in third place.
Yes.
You know, and then you go to bowl games, and this last one they got blown out of. So yeah, I mean, and he's also got a 10-year deal with probably 7 or 8 years left. So, but I think all new coordinators again, but not too many teams replace all three coordinators. And so I think that will be really interesting to see how this plays out. Obviously, you got to be a lot better at the quarterback position if you're Penn State.
I agree, Bill. I don't know how it's going to pan out. You know, I can understand, you know, you lose Manny Diaz on the defense side of the ball. You bring the DC to, you know, fill that position, Bill. But, Bill, you just like you say, you lost 3 positions. That is that's unheard of in college football, even in pros, Bill, where it's just clean the house, keep your head coach, bring in a new staff. You know, you still have your players in set, Bill, because this team, just like you said, 10-2, Bill, they're not struggling. They just lose one game of the season that we always know they're going to lose, and then, you know, basically don't show up in a bowl game. But this is like starting over with your offensive coordinator, starting over with your DC, Bill. I'm kind of curious now to see what they're going to do with Aller at quarterback, you know, the new OC coming in, Bill.
Yeah. Well, Tony Kotelnicki, I believe I have that right. He's the new coordinator, and he is a good football man. You know, they got him. They got Tom Allen on the defensive side, another good football man. I mean, they brought in quality coaches.
Right.
Are we going to see? Well, we can't see the same Drew Aller. We just can't see it. It's not
right.
But supposedly he's the guy, and there's no one close in the competition. So they must be expecting things to be a whole lot better, or he's gotten a lot better, or they're going to open it up and run a better offense. You know, maybe it wasn't all Aller that we saw not playing very well. You know, and I think we talked a lot about this last year. As bad as it seemed he was playing, nobody was open to throw the ball to either.
True, very true.
So, you know, again, I think with all these changes, it will be interesting, and it needs to be, because the schedule is going to be brutal.
Bill, do you think it's just going to be one of those years where the OC is just going to sit? Because the running game for Bill Penn State, we know, is ridiculous. Your 2 running backs are going to be amazing this year, of course. And do you think it's just going to be run the ball, take what the defense gives you, you know, to Aller, looking downfield, Bill?
No, I don't think so.
Okay.
For one, they got to prove that offensive line that they touted last year, and I kept saying, I don't see it.
Yeah.
And I never did see it. And the backs, 3 of those backs, none of them had the kind of year last year they had the year before, because they weren't good enough up front.
Yeah, the Singleton, his yardage, Bill, just was so below what we thought, you know, going into the season, what he would be, Bill.
Yeah, absolutely. A couple other names I want to throw at you. Kignitty is at Indiana. Do you know him?
Yeah, Mr. Kurt, correct?
Kurt Kignitty, right? Let me tell you a little stat on Kurt Kignitty. Let me, I have it written down here, but I can find my correct note.
Boy, Bill, you didn't tell me there was a quiz tonight.
No, there's no quiz. I'm just going to give you a little info. And, of course, there he is right in front of me. 119-35 as a head coach.
Wow.
Yeah, now, his last stop was at James Madison. He's worked his way up.
Okay.
Dad was a college football Hall of Fame coach as well. He's going to take that Indiana team. He's got new coordinators he brought with him, a new quarterback coach with him, brought basically his whole staff with him from James Madison. I'm not saying he's going to do it in the first year, but I'm saying Indiana is going to be a lot better. My other one, Matt Rule at Nebraska. I think Matt's going to finally get this thing going as well.
Bill, first I'll talk about Indiana. I mean, I wish it was an Indiana basketball coach because I'm an Indiana Hoosier basketball coach, of course, fan. But I agree with you. James Madison, Bill, they were up on the upside coming up every year. They were one of those teams where you really didn't want to play, Bill. They were that good. Watched a couple of their games last year. Really good. I don't think it's a 1 year move, a 2 year move, Bill, because you brought in your coaching staff, but you didn't bring your players in. So I think it's a 1 to 2 year, leap here. They should be good, striving. But I think this is just not a judgmental opinion of your coaching staff, Bill, you brought in, Bill. I think it's a judgmental what players fit in our system, who we can say, hey, do pull a Deion Sanders. You're not made for this team. You're not a starter. Transfer. One of those type player situation, Bill.
Yeah, and your guys that you had at James Madison probably aren't good enough to play in Indiana, or
sure,
maybe not. So yeah, I mean, I just think they're going to be better. I think they're going to they're not going to be a cupcake like they've been in the past. Yep. Matt Rule, listen to some numbers on Matt Rule. Let me tell you this: when he took over Temple, they were 2-10, and then he within 3 years won 10 games back to back. Baylor, they were 1-11.
Yes, turned it
when
around.
He left, he was 11-3, and now his first year at Nebraska, he's 5-7. Got some good recruits, kept good players. Matt Rule is a good builder. He's a good builder, and I think he's going to make some noise too this year.
Bill, I still remember the Temple team that he built, moving that up. Then he goes to Baylor, just like you said. The first year is just a rebuild, seeing, retooling, seeing what we have here. That second, third year, Bill, is where it stands out. I think, Nebraska, Bill, I don't know the exact number, but Bill, I think they lost like 3 or 4 games by 5 or less points per game last year. Yep. So that team is in place, Bill. That team is in place. I think, this might shock you, Bill, I have Nebraska in my top 5 teams this year in the Big Ten. I think they make that jump, Bill.
I'd like to think that. I'm not sure. That might be a little high, but I think they're going to be good. They're going to make noise.
I agree. I love that role.
I got one last one. Jed Fish at Washington. Now we know what's happening with the board. The board left, players left, coaches left. Jed Fish took over, but in 3 seasons at Arizona, Jed Fish went from 1-11 to 10-3. They got a little tradition going on out there at Washington. Again, might take a minute to get your feet under them. Jed Fish is another good football coach.
Agreed. The same situation, Bill. Going here, it's a rebuild. You're not a retooling of the coaching staff. It's a retooling of your players. I love what he did at Arizona, and but. Welcome to the Big Ten, Bill. Welcome to the Big Ten. This is the Pac-10 where your top 3 teams. Now you're looking at 5 to 6 teams deep that anybody can make a run. But I love Jed Fish. I really do as a head coach. I think he's going to be great. So I want to see how he is in the next couple of years. I definitely do. Plus, recruiting wise.
I think they're going to be good. I don't think Washington can be better than they were last year.
Right.
But I think they're going to be solid, and I think Jed's going to have that thing continuing on in the right direction.
Agree. So I have one for you. Matt Lockley from Maryland, new head coach here. Bill, how do you get hired being a head coach at 15-32 for the last 2 years, 3 years, 4 years? It's Maryland. Is that what we're saying?
I guess. I don't know.
I just wrote that down, but I looked at him like, Maryland got a new head coach. I didn't even follow it. And I'm looking, I'm like, what's this guy's record?
I didn't follow that. Did Mike Locksley get fired?
What's that? Mike Lockley?
Did he get fired?
I don't know if he got fired, but he's a new Maryland head coach.
No, Mike Locksley's been at Maryland.
That's what it's been there. I'm sorry.
He came from Alabama.
Yes, he is my thing about how
he ain't one of them.
No. Okay.
Yeah,
I'm like, wait a minute.
He's got 2 his brother there with the court.
Yeah, Tong, whatever his name is. Yeah,
they got a little bit better, but he's still there.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know how long you keep a job.
Gotcha. Well, Bill, we got about 10 minutes here. We were going to get into the Big Ten, but we'll keep it about 10 minutes here total. We won't go over the roster here. We'll talk about the top 4 teams, Bill. How about we open up with, we got to give the rights to Michigan here, Bill. They were the defending champs. How do you see them stacking out, Bill? We'll go 1 through 5 in the Big Ten here. We'll start with number 1. Where do you think the number 1 team is in the Big Ten?
Ohio State.
I agree. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't think they're number one until somebody beats them. I think too much change at Michigan for them to be that team. I just think Ohio State is loaded.
Bill, here's the crazy thing. We talked about the quarterback. Who is the starting quarterback? Will Howard, of course, the big transfer coming in from Downingtown, PA, which we talked to Pat Waters, of course, with that transfer there going on. Devin Brown, we seen him start last year too, Bill. Lincoln Keenholz was a starter last year for a game. And then they have Justin Sands, one of the top freshmen coming in. And, of course, Air Nolan, Bill. 6 quarterbacks in this room, Bill, where I'm pretty sure one of these guys, if they transferred, they could be a starter somewhere else, Bill.
Yeah, one of them ends up being Joe Burrow and goes somewhere else and wins the Heisman Trophy.
Yes.
Yeah, it's that kind of room.
Yes.
Yeah, you can't keep them all. You're not going to keep them all happy.
Right.
You can't play them all.
Mm-hmm.
Will Howard is really a plug-in.
Yes.
Because they don't have experience anywhere else behind there, with much experience. I'd say opening day, it's going to be Will Howard.
Right.
But I think you're going to see a lot of play coming from the others, and you're going to get a red shirt somewhere and probably a transfer somewhere.
Yeah, I think it's I hate saying this, Bill, because I hate putting a quarterback on a leash, but with this Chip Kelly offense, Bill, I think Will Howard is on a very short leash that this offense doesn't pick up very fast, Bill.
Yeah, I think you're probably right. I think the expectations are going to be really high, and I think right out of the chute, they're going to expect to be scoring lots of points on people.
And Bill, you know what? Pick your poison. You want to throw the ball, you want to run the ball, because one of the biggest transfer portals I think from last year is Judkins from Ole Miss coming over with teaming up with Trayvon Henderson. Bill, I'm talking light thunder, lightning. It's at Ohio State, Bill.
Yeah, that's almost not fair.
It's not. I mean, I think they're the top 2 running backs in the nation, Bill. Honestly, 1, 2.
Yeah, they're good.
Oh gosh, Bill. Where do you want to go number 2, Bill? What do you have in number 2? I'm curious to see where we're at with number 2. I do agree with the Ohio State number 1, hands down, definitely.
Not knowing much more than I know at this point, I'm going to say Oregon.
You don't think they're too high ranked, Bill? I've seen polls 2, 3, lowest maybe 4, 5. You don't think that's too high for them?
Well, I think it might be too high based on the schedule.
Okay.
We'll talk about the schedule here before we're through. Mm-hmm. But I think they're going to be talented. I think they're going to be the best of the 4 teams that come in from the West.
Okay.
And probably if I had to go with a number 3, back to the old school, I'd say Penn State would be 3. But I'm not sure Penn State is better than Oregon at this point.
Okay, I do agree with you. Number 2, Oregon. I'm going to go there. Dan Fleming has this team. They bought into the system. He's built this program, Bill, through expectations. He's built it. I love how he coaches. The players buy into the system.
Endless money in Eugene too, by the way.
Oh, Mr. Nike himself was out there, Bill. That's all the money there. Whatever you want, Nike will buy it for you. Not a problem. And plus, Bill, the other thing is too, they have a quarterback, Dylan Gabriel, coming in too. Quarterback's a journeyman. Years from Oklahoma down to UCF down there for many years. Bill transferred through the rights here. He's a legitimate starter. I think 6th year. This 6th year he's been playing. So
at least.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Not quite as long as Bo Nix, but close.
No, yeah, exactly. Right between Sam Hartman days, Bill. 5 years, 6 years. But I agree. I got Oregon number 2. Penn State, I'm going to go 3, Bill, but I'm kind of hesitant with that one because 3 new coaching members, Bill. I don't know what they are. I don't know what the scheme, what kind of system they're running. I don't know. On paper,
I'm going to go with the offense being an upgrade.
Okay.
I'm thinking that. I don't know. And a little bit maybe for process of elimination, I'm not sure who's better than them. I'm not sure they're that good. Whereas you look at the list, who's better than them.
I see your situation there. I'm gonna put Penn State at 3 based on that right there. You sold me with that one, Bill. But Bill, I'll give you my number 4 team. This might surprise you. I think Wisconsin. We've no smash mouth football with Wisconsin. I think Luke Fickell in his second year turns this around because he likes to throw that ball, Bill. Cincinnati, he opened up that running game, that passing game. Something Wisconsin never really had, Bill. They never had the quarterback. I don't know. I didn't see who they transferred in. But I think I'm going to go Wisconsin here as my surprise 4 team.
Yeah, and I don't have a problem with that. I think Luke Fickell's a good coach. Mm-hmm. I don't know that Wisconsin never had the quarterback. I'm not sure they ever wanted a quarterback. They
True.
they had their guys. They were going to smash mouths with big linemen and big running backs.
Exactly.
And going to be really good.
Yep.
They did have a guy named Russell Wilson there for a year or two.
Oh, they did until he transferred to North Carolina State.
Right. But yeah, I think Wisconsin will be okay. I'm not sure. Well, somewhere in there, USC I think has to fit. And maybe not 4, maybe 5. Not sure what's going on there. D'Anton Lee is the defense coordinator, left UCLA to go to USC. Penn State guy who's played in the league. If he can play Big Ten defense,
yeah,
whether he's got the pieces to play Big Ten defense,
right. That's my thing, Bill. I wanted to put USC probably 5 or 6, but you said the word defense, Bill. USC and defense, you never had that in the same sentence in a lifetime. Right. That's something we never see. So I don't know, Bill. I like the name coming in there as a new DC, but Bill, there's something about me where, if the cloud's not, if we call a cloud blue, and it's not, we know it's blue, but I can't see this defense being any better than I've seen before. Plus losing Caleb Williams too. It's a rebuild. So I don't know, Bill. So who do you have number 4, Bill?
I'm going to throw Nebraska in there just because. Why not?
Okay. I got Nebraska 5. I believe in the Matt Rule. This is his year, Bill. Losing 4 to 5 games last year by 6 or lesser points, whatever it was, that could have been a 10-win, 11-game season, Bill, easily. And they were tough games that they played, hanging in 4 quarters. So I got Nebraska 5. I got Wisconsin 4. Bill, the last thing I want to ask you is, who is the bottom 2 of this division, Bill?
Maryland.
So many Maryland. Okay.
Probably Purdue.
Yeah.
Rutgers is still not very good. They won games early last year, and then they folded up. Northwestern is still kind of a bottom feeder.
Yeah.
They had made that coaching change at the last minute last year to start the season. The other team I think is going to be interesting to see is Iowa. Now that they've forced to change coordinators and Kirk Ferentz had to fire his son.
Yes.
They have a new offense coordinator. They're good on defense. They're always good on defense, and their offense usually is pretty good. But
Bill, that's the only team in college football, Bill, where I think you can hold your defense to 6 points and you can win a game.
Absolutely, it happens.
Yeah,
it happens.
I agree. Yeah, my bottom 2 teams, Bill, are probably Maryland and probably Purdue. That's my 2 bottom feeders there. But Bill, before we get out of here, how about we talk about that schedule that you mentioned?
Yeah, let me hit you with just a couple games right out of the chute. I don't know if they're calling this week 0 or not, or week 1, but Penn State at West Virginia is an opener. I just stuck to the Big Ten games.
Yep.
Penn State, West Virginia in Morgantown. That'll be a good one at noon. And on the next night, which is probably Labor Day, September 1st, USC, LSU in Las Vegas.
Wow.
So I'm kind of excited about that one. The next week, Texas at Michigan. I circled that one. The following week, Alabama is at Wisconsin. I like that one.
I like that.
UCLA at LSU the following week. And then the first big conference game, September 21st, USC at Michigan.
Wow. Welcome to the big house, huh?
Yeah. And then it goes from there. Michigan, Washington, Penn State, USC, Ohio State, Penn State, USC, and Ohio State, Oregon on the same day. Both out west.
They're not on. They can't be on the same time, Bill, because I know where I'll be at that time. Watching those games.
They're to be announced. All these are to be announced for those. But a couple big games there, and then it goes. There's an off kind of a soft week, and then there's Oregon at Michigan, Ohio State at Penn State, and USC Washington all in the same week. That's good. There's just a lot of good games as you get into the season and how these teams are going to match up.
Yeah, I can't wait for the season to start, Bill. We got 3 weeks left. I believe Penn State opens up on a Thursday night, if I'm correct.
Is it Thursday or Friday night?
It might be Friday night.
Okay. I can give you the date. August 31st.
August 31st. Okay.
whatever day that is.
Yeah, I don't even know what that day is, Bill, but
I think
I can't wait. I can't wait.
Yeah, well, I can tell you, I got it right in front of me. Just pick up my phone; it's got everything.
Bill, here's a question for you, real quick. Ken Fry, one of our hosts here, he says, "What's up, fellas? Is this the year the Pitt Panthers win the ACC? What do you think, Bill?"
They stink.
They do.
No, I mean, Narducci, how many?
How's he have a job?
Right? How many rabbits does he go pull out of the hat and keep working? I just don't get it. He just hasn't gotten it done. And they got good players. And when they had Kenny Pickett, they had a pretty nice run, that nice team.
Sure.
But then he couldn't follow it up with anything. Pitt's not winning anything till they prove to me they can beat somebody.
It's kind of bad when you're in the ACC, Bill, where you have two top teams, Clemson and Florida State. But if you can't finish in, the top five, and I don't even think you finished top five in the ACC, Bill, with this team and that head coach.
Did they what they win last year? Like 3 games?
I think it was 4 games last year. 4, I think it was. Yeah. 4 tops. Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, I'm sorry, Ken. I'm just not feeling it for the Panthers.
Rob checking. He says, "What's up, guys? Congratulations on season 3. I'll be looking forward to coaching football this season. I'll be watching Penn State, Notre Dame, Colorado, Texas, and of course looking to UNLV as well, since he lives in Vegas."
Yep.
Bill, real quick before we get out of here, I have to ask you one thing. Deion Sanders, Bill, are we still feeling the same way? Are we calling him Coach Prime, or is he still Deion Sanders in our book?
Well, he's never been Coach Prime to me.
Me neither.
Coach Sanders, just like every other coach.
Yeah, I agree.
Honestly, I think the kid is a good quarterback.
Should do work.
Really good quarterback.
Yeah.
I think it's a bit of a circus out there from what you read. I just think it's all going to end at the end of this year. They're not going to win. The kid's going to get paid.
Oh yeah.
Whether he has as good a year as he's capable of, if he's a top 5 pick or whatever, that remains to be seen. But I think it's a circus out there. Deion's the ringleader or the circus master, or whatever they call it, and it can't end soon enough for me.
Yeah, I agree. I think it's a debacle. It's a circus. It's not what you look at. I hate saying it, Bill. You look at Nick Saban. And then you look at, Deion Sanders, Bill. It's night and day what these coaches bring to college football. It's for the players, for the talent, for the expectation for the next level. Then you look at Deion. It's show me the money. Show me the money. That's all it is.
And he doesn't make any bones about it. He wants his boys to get the bag.
Yeah, the bag. Show me the bag. I lost him, Bill, where he put his hand up and he had that new watch on him. Yeah. Like that. That to me is like, okay. This was a Deion Sanders move. This is something your dad did, coined the prime time, even with the rap song, Show Me That, whatever the hell he had. That just bothers me, Bill, because, Bill, you and I are old school, and it's just, times has changed, Bill. Times has changed. It really has.
Absolutely. And, and on top of it, you got to win games.
Exactly.
So if he goes 12-0, 10-2, whatever, 9-3 even, and you say, well, he's turned this program around, whatever he's doing, it's working, you can become more tolerant of it. But when you're doing all this side stuff and you're 5-7 and you're getting blown out by teams, don't put on the show.
Yeah, it's like last year, Bill. They drove the Lamborghini.
Your legs, right?
Yeah, like last year, they brought the Lamborghini out. They blew TCU, but guess what? You didn't put gas for the last 10 games of your season. It shows you what you are. You're less prepared. You're throwing your teammates under the bus and you're praising your son. Bill, it's not what we want to see.
No, absolutely
not what we want to see. Well, Bill, before we get out here, it's season 3, Bill. I am so stoked. Every Wednesday night we'll be doing this, of course. Next week, Bill. What do you want to talk about next week, Bill?
Well, we'll talk SEC. How about that? We'll kind of do a little SEC, hustle through kind of like we did tonight. We'll do that. And, I think it's probably a little too early for all of us to get into rosters and things like that. Hell,
yes.
We need a program to find out who's playing for who.
Yeah, I just emailed every conference, Bill, see if I can get a legitimate program, depth chart. And I tell you what, that's the only way I'm going to learn it, Bill, because so many players moving, transfers, coaches. We don't know what the hell's going. They might even trade a mascot next year, Bill. We don't even know.
For a player to be named later.
You got it. Bill, before we get out here, where can they find you, my fine
Press
Bill?
Box Radio, Wednesday night, 7 o'clock. Just finished up our show tonight. Former Phillies star Matt Stairs was our guest tonight. So that was good. Matt's a great guest, and glad to have him. 7 o'clock, Philly Sports, every Wednesday at 7.
Boy, you doing double duty, Bill. Double duty, huh?
Wednesday's my night. This is it.
It is. It's my favorite time of the week, Bill. You know, being on with you. You know, we text back and forth. And, Bill, it's so funny how we talk like, wow, we got to do our homework on this one because there's so much to talk about, Bill.
Right. And so many changes.
Exactly. Well, listen.
That time of year, though, it's the best.
It is, Bill. This is the time where Thursday night, Friday night, and Saturday, we don't want to be bothered, Bill.
That's right.
Until then, we'll be back next Wednesday at 8:05 p.m. My name is Paul Spencer. That is Bill Furman. And until then, everybody have a great week. We'll see you then.